there seems to be sort of like a huge push on um, meditation, and I've spoken before on kind of like my thoughts on doing things just because they're good for you, and how um, maybe that defeats the point of doing the thing in the first place. And I think definitely one of the things on the list of things that I've seen people force themselves to do because they're supposedly good for you is meditation. Now, I think meditation is very particular because the way in which many people define it is very specific. The way in which you're supposed to sit, and the way in which your hands are supposed to be facing, and how your hands are supposed to be, like what your hands are supposed to be doing, the way in which you're supposed to be breathing, what you're supposed to be breathing with, what you are supposed to pay attention to, all these things and all these rules of how it is that we are supposed to do this thing. And I think that's the wall that a lot of people face. That I think doing it in a very specific way is a great way for it not to work for most people. That I think the more, if you loosen up the ends and you give space for people to work it out on the way that is most comfortable for them, or connects the most with them, that's when people can go further. That's when it can really become a habit and a practice that you get into effortlessly. And it's cool with meditation because there's an infinity ways in which you can do it. If you maybe you've never like sat down in a lotus position and just kind of like did nothing, and just the idea of doing that does not connect with you. But maybe you've had the experience in which you're listening to music and it's like you're somewhere else. It's like somehow your awareness or your attention just flows somewhere else, and just by being on those states, it helps you kind of like unwind and relax and all these things. That is a state of meditation. There's people that I know that are really into taking care of plants and learning all they can about botany. And when they're in that state, it's like the rest of the world stops existing. It's like for those moments, they are just them and the plants and the way that they're connecting with each other. There's people who do this through exercise. One common one is walking, and it's one that I really connect with. I enjoy walking, and sometimes whenever I am trying to figure my way through a problem, whenever I'm trying to navigate through a solution, I go on a walk, and then it naturally like comes and I naturally flow through the problem solving that I need to do. Or sometimes I don't, but then when I sit down again to work on it, it just arrives. It's as if it somehow was cooking on the back burner while I was walking, and then it was just waiting for me to get started so it would give me the answer, almost as if it didn't want me to forget it during the walk, so it waited, it put it on cue. And so there's many, many, many ways in which you can do this thing. And what I would say is, if it is something that interests you, if it is something that somehow feels like something that you want to delve into or something that you want to explore, look at things that you're doing already. Look at things that or maybe things that you are not doing, in the sense that you're not putting conscious effort in it. Like, for example, like for that example of botany, or for the example of music, I think there oftentimes we're doing things in which we're not really doing anything. Like, we might be listening to music and really connecting with the music, and we're not actively doing something, but something is definitely happening. And so look at those things. One thing I really connect with is water. So um, being in the water, and all the ways in which we can interact with water, and all the different sports in which we can interact with water, is another great way of just kind of like relaxing. And then the other thing about all this is that um, it seems like um, the point of doing meditation is not even to do meditation. It's just to sort of like relax and, in a sense, like do nothing. That I think we have this idea that we must be completing a goal, or progressing in something. So when we look at things like meditation that are these objects or these tools that are supposed to be good for you, we expect that when we're doing them, we're doing something. We're supposed to be doing something. We're supposed to be observing our thoughts, or observing the person observing the thoughts, or observing who it is that is observing the one observing the thoughts, and going through all these sometimes overcomplicated routes to do the thing right. And it is something that you probably already do. And where I'm going with that is that I think taking time to sort of like relax is definitely a really powerful tool. However, I don't think it is a necessary tool. I don't think everyone needs to actively go and meditate. I don't think everyone needs to actively go and meditate in a particular way. And if it is, and if the goal of meditation is some kind of enlightenment, some kind of transition between the person, the flawed human that we were, and then this perfect, or this absolutely redeemable image of that person, if somehow we're supposed to make this huge metamorphosis, I think that comes in whatever shape or form we need it. That I think the information and the knowledge that we need for our experience and for our journeys will find us. So even if someone doesn't meditate, I think there's still having trouble putting the words together for this. Where I'm going is, even the bus driver that's taking you around your city or your state or your country, whatever it is, even that person who might not have the slightest inkling in taking a moment to relax and slow down and look at the world differently, that person might just witness something during their normal daily lives that will just shift them. That they might just think of a word, think of a thought, think of a traffic light in just the slightest and oddest of ways, and suddenly that shifts them into a position that we could regard as an enlightened position. And I think that kind of stuff is happening all the time, but it's not always noticeable. And maybe we're not always paying as much attention to that as we might want to. But in any way, it is as if we can't really do the thing wrong. It's like we can't really fail in a sense, because there are all these guardrails along the way, that help bump us into the right direction, even if we don't notice them as that. And so I think meditation, in particularly all the ways in which it manifests itself, and all the ways in which it plays out, and all the ways in which different people um, participate in it, define that same idea, that it is truly very, very difficult to um, fail, because there always seems to be things nudging us in the direction that seems to be the most true to us.